5 o'clock somewhere.
Actually, it's 5 o'clock here.
Yeah, it is.
Welcome. Meet Robyn and Victor.
But mostly Robyn. No, just kidding.
You actually might get to know Victor in this video.
I don't think so.
So we want to first introduce you to who we are and like what makes us tick and get a little bit to know us. And then our next video, we're going to talk to you about the truth of what it's like to travel with your spouse or to live in an RV with your spouse, because let's face it, it's a different challenge, right?
Well, it's awesome in many ways, but it challenges you in all these other ways that you didn't expect it.
Tell them how we met.
We met through a mutual friend. I had a very good friend who had a twin sister, and the twin sister said, "You have to meet Robyn." She worked with her teaching.
How old were you?
19.
18.
18. Jeez.
You were 18. I was 17. I was still my senior year of high school. So she introduced us. And first date,
and it was
talk?
They set it up, and we're supposed to meet at a get together at your house, and promptly nothing happened. Partially because I just felt like she was out of my league and didn't really like, hey, how's it going?
So if you haven't noticed, since Victor's not, so you've been labeled conceited. He's not conceited. You've been labeled intimidating. The thing is, that was a great introduction to Victor's just shy. He seems like he's very intimidating. He has a stern face, but it's really because he's constantly reading his environment and situations, and he doesn't want to be loud like his wife.
Yeah, I'm just kind of shy and introverted person. So in the past, people have always kind of said like who you actually are is completely different than what my first impression.
Yeah.
Of you. Now there's plenty of people like you. If their first impression is they bring me their kid to gymnastics class, they're going to get a completely different first impression. But in a lot of ways, that's always been very, very helpful to break the ice for a lot of people, right?
We met. I was 17. He was 18. First time we were introduced, we didn't speak to each other. And 2 weeks later, we were reintroduced again. But this time, all of his friends that happened to be football players for Grossmont College were there. So big guys picked us up, threw us in the bathroom, locked the door, and like, you guys aren't coming out till you talk. And 24 years later, the rest is history. So pretty much from then we started dating. I graduated high school. I don't know, 3 or 4 months later, we both ended up going to San Diego State. After my first year of San Diego State, we moved in together, and so we lived on campus. And it was pretty cool because every class, actually, Victor would walk me to class, every single class, and made it so scheduled so when I got out of class, he was standing there so nobody would talk to me.
I didn't do it for that reason. Okay, maybe I did. No, but I just thought that's the chivalrous thing to do.
Oh, let's see. See this like clean cut look? That's not when I met him.
had a clean cut look.
Victor, when I first met him, had 2 earrings, his hair slicked back. He was always in a white tank top. We won't call it a wife beater. You were almost
a white tank top.
He was in a white t-shirt or a white tank top.
All right, whatever.
And my dad, the first time looked at him, he's like, "You're gonna take those out, right?"
I said, "Yeah, doesn't matter."
Anyway, so that was our quick introduction.
Backstory.
And then when we, let's see, I was already in high school. I was already teaching gymnastics for a city rec program. And I was already like, I need to get paid more for this. I completely started the program. It's successful. You guys need to pay me more. And at that time, I was 20. And I went in and they're like, no, we're not paying you more. I'm like, that's okay. I'm going to go start my own business. So I looked at Victor. I'm like, hey, you've never taught gymnastics.
At that point, we were dating, and she's like, hey, you want to teach with me? I'm like, okay, sure. I like kids. We knew at that point we were.
Yeah, I mean, you were only 21 then.
Yeah, but I love kids.
We
I actually feel more comfortable with kids than adults, to this day than adults.
We weren't married at the time, so I started. I'm like, we were in Coronado, California at the time, and that's where I was teaching gymnastics for the rec department. And I said, hey, let's open a business. And always the universe puts the right people in your path. and it just happened. The guy set me up with, there's a space available. Within like 3 weeks, we were knocking down walls, opening our own facility.
We opened one before.
Yeah,
but then
for our own facility.
Yeah. Which we own no tools, and I had to, by hand, knock the walls down and figure out where I could dump. I used my dad's truck, drove all around different places, and dumping drywall in places.
Yeah, that is a recurring theme in our marriage and our life, is that we do have a tendency to do things cheaply with a lot more muscle than necessarily money to throw on it. But that's okay.
We don't have money.
So then we opened this business. We had never done a spinning class. Keep in mind, this was 21 years ago. And I knew,
before spinning, this really at the beginning of spinning class.
Totally the beginning.
So Robyn thought we need another revenue stream to supplement our gymnastics, and so we had gotten very comfortable teaching gymnastics. We had a little bit of clientele. We needed to draw other people in. I was already studying at San Diego State to be a personal trainer too.
And I was to say, we didn't even have gymnastics classes really running much.
Not yet. But we knew we needed another revenue stream, and this was the next big thing, which it turned out. So we thought, we ordered all the bikes, and then we said, you know what, we should probably go take a class just so we know what this is like. Yeah, get that.
So we didn't even do a spinning class before I had already maxed out his gold card ordering 10 spin bikes. I'm like, it's the next big thing, let's go for it.
We went and did a class in La Jolla, and after the class I told her,
we almost threw up.
Yeah, it was very, very intense. But, it is what it is. You get used to it really quick. But the reality is, coming from an athletic background, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is too hard to even, how am I supposed to teach it? But
the difference is you learn as a student, you put out, but as a teacher, you learn how to cheat. So it was great. It ended up opening up a lot of doors, because like I said, when I first met Victor, he was in San Diego State already. He was a business major. So as we get to tell you more about us, business major is the worst spot to have him. He has a lot of amazing talents and gifts and amazing person, but not business. So,
and honestly, I knew I was already in trouble. I was dating Robyn, and I was having trouble getting to my classes because I would be on the phone for hours on end.
We would stay on the phone till midnight.
And then I'd go to my econ class. I'm like, how is that? I can't stay awake. This is so boring. And how am I going to make my life out of it? This, part of my life. In the end, you walk me straight over to the kinesiology.
Oh my gosh! I'm like, right when I go, I'm like, you're changing majors. This is silly. He had a D and an F in all of his business classes.
Yes, you did. Exaggerate.
Okay, fine, a D in all of his business classes.
Fine. D's get degrees.
Do they? Okay, so we switched degrees. So he has kinesiology major, which is perfect for him. We open our business. We have 10 spin bikes. Then we kind of can teach, and we have a great gymnastics program. And we got married that first year that we opened our business. The next year, Daniel was born, and honestly, it was a blur after that, right?
Yeah, I think by the time 2 and 3, it was a blur. And by the time I saw Robyn pregnant with the third one, yeah, for sure, I was taking the majority of in all the hours I was working, and she stayed home with the kids more and pretty much handled the finances, which worked for us.
It worked. We've never dreamed super big with our business. We didn't want to franchise it. If you take our classes, we wanted to make a difference with the people we work with, and I think we were very successful at that. But this is a big one. We did that. We started that at 20. 20 years old. So naturally, by the time my 5th was born, I feel like a lot of things that you're trying to fulfill maybe later in life, I had already fulfilled, but there was these gaps in by the time I was 38, 39, when Tatiana was finished, I was done being pregnant with her and breastfeeding, you start thinking man, there's got to be more than this. At 20, we were opening a business. We were already, had a mortgage. When did we buy our first condo? We were 21.
We were married yet, actually.
We went through a lot of different houses, and the thing is I've always had this one vision of having kids and a big family and being self-employed, but we got to a point when I was 38 and I thought look, I've already done this. I love teaching gymnastics. I'm great at teaching gymnastics, but I've done it. It's fulfilled. Check it off the list. Something new. So we kind of went really fast over this section of from Gabby was born, then Isabel was born. There was actually some gap. Like Jariah wasn't born. Isabel to Jariah was 4 years. We actually lived for 10 years. It's funny because 10 years, it's a whole decade. It felt like a blink of an eye because your days become the same. I mean, I think about what we've done in the last 4 years, and then I think about the 10 years of our life that we lived in Chula Vista.
Sure.
In a house. Okay, tell them about that house. Everything you had, it had everything.
It's a big house. It was a very large house. Had a beautiful pool in the backyard. Had an outdoor barbecue, outdoor fireplace. It's everything,
That you're supposed to. You're supposed to want.
And a 3-car garage. It's like, it's like, yes, we made it. We got this house, but
you really did. You felt like, I remember walking through that house because it was a model house before we bought it, and remember thinking like, this is it. This is the dream. This is everything you aspire to. And I was only, I would have been like 26, 27 maybe. Isabel was not born yet. No, I only had 2 kids. I had Danny and Gabby, so I was younger than that. I was 24 maybe. I remember walking through that house, and we'd already bought a condo. We had already bought another house. We had done mortgages and dreaming, and every house I decorated them right. I would go and
she had a huge plan. She had it painted
the day we moved in.
The day we moved in, and we were unpacked. That was the craziness. We were unpacked.
Oh yeah, I could pack up a place and unpack it in 24 hours.
No boxes. That's the scary part. Nope. Unpacking really means unpacking. Not hey, we got some dishes out. Everything unpacked. All the boxes gone.
The whole thing paid.
See how that.
So when we saw this house, I remember his mom thought it was crazy. She thinks I'm crazy all the time, but thought it was crazy. Oh my gosh, you guys already have a nice house. It's so great. I'm like, I went through this trap, and I'm only telling you so it puts perspective on how far we've come.
Yeah, how far down the rabbit hole.
So we buy this brand new house, 3,000 square feet. It's a clean slate. I had I had Danny and Gabby only at that time. I wasn't pregnant with Isabel yet when we bought that house, and 3,000 square foot. The foyer, 18-foot ceilings. I painted that whole house within 2 weeks. Myself, I would throw on a Dora video, get all of my masking tape done. Then I'd feed them. Then I'd put on another Dora, and I'd paint one wall. Then I'd feed them again or read to them, and then I'd throw. And then nap time came, and every day Victor would come home from work and be like, "Holy shit! How'd you paint that much wall, right?"
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then, and when you buy a new track home, there's track homes there. You have an empty backyard. We put in a pool. We put, like you said, we put in a barbecue. We've had surround sound. We had big screen TVs. I know this feeling of acquiring status. I have a pool. Oh, our pool had a water slide. And it was fun.
And a swim jet.
That's true, a swim jet. For 2 of my pregnancies, I got to swim against a swim jet in my own pool. And it was awesome. It was rad. But
then you start realizing you get to a point in your life where you realize, well, is this that important?
The problem for me is that I'm so numbers oriented that I crunch numbers all the time, and I think I look at a mortgage and be like, okay, this was really fun for a year, but I have to do this for 30 more? It's not, there's no excitement. We're going to talk about this in the next video, but there's one of my fulfillment words is challenge. There's no challenge, and it's hard. If your fulfillment word was security, maybe you had faux security. Maybe. I don't
security,
even know.
Yeah.
Security is...
It's one of those words. It's one of those words that, what is security? Get hit by a car tomorrow, it's all gone anyway, so what's security?
We had this whole decade of this beautiful house, and I know a lot of people are like, why did you give it up? And it was great for a while. It was a good run. I think, sometimes Buddhism is great, and they practice this detachment. It's that's great. It was wonderful. It was what it was when it was, but it no longer served me. One day I woke up and I'm like, actually, a couple things happened. First thing that happened for us, okay, this is crazy. You guys ready for this? We had never camped or RV'd. Honestly, some people that know us, Karen, Dawn, if you're watching, we had never, Victor had never gone camping in his entire life. And I remember when our kids were younger, especially up through the third, like talking to people who camped, and I was like dreamy-eyed, like, oh, you guys are campers. Like, that's so awesome. I wish Victor never is like, oh, no.
Nor had I even contemplated it, really.
And so when Jariah was about, 6 months old, 3 months old, somewhere. Well, let me think. It was the summer. Okay, he was almost a year old. Jariah, our fourth, was almost a year old. I rented an RV. We had never gone camping at all, except her. Wait, flashback.
Camping.
Wait, you hadn't.
Oh, right.
Oh,
But
wait,
as a family,
flashback. Wait, flashback. First time I take you out to the desert. Go.
Okay.
You're on your own. I have to refill.
Okay. So, when I met Robyn, it was obvious two different ways of growing up, and so it was very much culture shock for her to come to her first carne asada, and conversely, it was huge for her to take me out to the desert, like the sand dunes, for Thanksgiving weekend. And so for me, never having been out there, I had no idea what to expect, but it was just a huge culture shock. You get there, everyone's it's dark. You get there, and then I couldn't imagine how many people played out there in the desert. And so I'm still getting my bearings. Like, this is kind of crazy. There's thousands of people out here on Thanksgiving weekend, and someone yells out, "Night ride!" And Rob's like, "Hop in the dune buggy." I'm like, "Where are we going?" Into the middle of the darkness over there, and I go on a night ride and going, this is kind of crazy. There's no street lights. How do you get back? Well, of course we got back because these people everyone that does this has some kind of sixth sense on like how to get back home, which you kind of start to learn anyway when you start doing this stuff. But I remember that alone, that night ride. I remember your dune buggy breaking down, your dad like squatting down and like.
This was a different occasion.
Yeah, but
yes.
All these little things, and everyone hangs around, and like it's a thing. Like guys gather around and like, oh, it's broken. Let's drink some beer.
Okay, let me connect some dots. So if you live in San Diego, there's a section of San Diego called East County, El Cajon, Santee, Lakeside. You're typically desert rats, meaning like if you drive towards Arizona from San Diego, there's all these sand dunes. And so people that live out there, that's where they spend their weekends. And that's what we did growing up.
In the winter.
We rode in the winter, yeah. We rode, honestly, like three-wheelers. I can tell you, when I was in grade school, I would write articles, like if you had to write a paper, I'd write a term paper like, why three-wheelers are actually safe. Things like that. I was a questioner in 5th grade. But so when Victor and I first met, that was norm. Okay, the important thing about this is when we do our next video for you and talk about like how to have a successful...
The foundation is there. The foundation of conflict was there.
How to have a successful relationship, you've got to understand, like, we're coming from like such extremes, and our upbringing is, and it's only when like you apply a lot of layers of stress or you actually crave fulfillment that these come out. You can you can totally live your life.
At this point, how many years have we been together?
24.
Since 1994, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you can argue like, well,
25.
You could argue like you've been together so long, like how does that matter? But it's still
super
that
important.
first part of your life lays down a lot of how you interpret excitement and adventure.
It's kind of a cool thing though, because we've been together so long that, I mean, how many people like stay together when they're 17 and 18 when they first start dating? It's kind of crazy, but it's not like it's always perfect, but we have some like really crazy insight because of what we've been through, and we've done a lot. Okay, so we go out to the desert. Desert's like a total thing that everyone does on the weekends. You go out to the desert, you ride dune buggies, you drink, and you're like, oh, night ride. This is extreme. He has no like. Okay, the other extreme is when you take somebody out to the desert and they ride a three-wheeler or quadricycle, you tell them, and you take them on their bowls. Everything, all the sand dunes, like one side is rounded, the other side is usually like a razorback, kind of a sharp drop-off. And so you have to learn how to ride those. A lot of times you ride the bowl. Well, if you don't ride the bowls with a lot of speed, or you start to go down, and then people freak out and they put their foot down. I didn't even think, like, duh.
Oh, they just...
I just assume, duh, don't put your foot down.
I got nothing. Like, get on it. Let's go. I ran over both of my back of my legs going down the bottom.
So the equivalent is quesadillas.
What? That's not the equivalent. Jeez.
When I met Victor, we didn't know. We're white. Like, we didn't know anything about Mexican food. We thought, like, you open up a can of refried beans and you put a tortilla with cheese in the microwave. That's a quesadilla. And so my mom loves quesadillas. So Victor comes over.
Well, the way I make a quesadilla is, it's also a quesadilla, not a quesadilla. You put a little butter in the pan, put the tortilla, put the cheese, then put another tortilla, then you flip it over till it gets nice and crunchy, and that's how I grew up eating quesadillas.
So the first time Victor makes one at our house, you know, come on,
and we give it to your mom, and she goes, "Oh my God, did you buy a quesadilla maker?" She's like, "No, I brought one."
Differences, opposites attract, obviously, but differences can be really good. We went sidetracked for a second. I'm back on track. So that was a little insight to like the differences. Now we got 10 years that we sustained the Joneses. And we'll just call it the Joneses. We had the house with the pool, the brand new cars always.
What we just assumed we're supposed to do.
That's what you're supposed to do. It felt fulfilling.
Yeah.
It just felt like, but then one day, like I said, the problem is I crunch numbers too much. And one day I remember crunching numbers thinking, this doesn't make sense. There's got to be more. 2010, things came kind of like to a halt. Oh, it came
A
to
hilt.
Oh, not a halt. They didn't come to a halt. They came to a hilt.
Yeah.
What the frick's the difference between a halt and a hilt?
Halt means stop. A hilt is a point where you're like, you cross one, right?
Okay.
So, yeah. So I mean, after years and years of working.
Wait. Actually, it wasn't 2010. Let me back up. Troy was born in 2008. It was 2009 because Tati was born in 2010.
Yeah.
And
That was it.
okay, 2009, 10 years ago. Wow, 10 years ago. Okay, 10 years ago. Actually,
that was 10 years
that's
ago.
what made our life change.